Good morning, my friends out there in Cindy's Corner. I hope you surely enjoy this book today as much as I do. Today, if you've got the book, The Biggest Christmas Tree Ever, go get it so that you can follow along. And my friends, as you're getting your book, I want to tell you, and I'm going to finish the story at the end after our story. I had a childhood friend, and I had just learned to drive. And I asked my parents if my friend Glynieta and I, after church, could go get our Christmas tree. And my friend Glynieta and I went and got the tree. And I had strict orders from my daddy not to come back with a very big one. Well, we didn't think it was big. I want you to find out what happened to my Christmas tree after the story. All right, you've got your book, The Biggest Christmas Tree Ever. For my AR testers, this is a level 3-3. Biggest Christmas Tree Ever. Our title page, isn't that pretty? I can relate to all those trees. That's what Glynieta and I saw. And the author is Stephen Kroll, illustrated by Jenny Bassett. Once, there were two mice who fell in love with the same Christmas tree. But you had to see it to believe it. I feel them. Everyone in Mouseville loved Christmas trees. Every Christmas, families all over town put up the biggest, most beautiful tree they could find. But first came Thanksgiving. The day before the celebration, Clayton, the house mouse, took a walk around Mouseville. He knew he should be thinking about giving thanks, but the chill in the air reminded him of Christmas. You know what? He said out loud. This year, I am going to find the biggest Christmas tree ever. Not far away, Clayton's friend Desmond, the field mouse, said exactly the same thing. That night, Clayton helped his mom and dad, his brother, Andy, and his sister, Trudy, make a special cheese casserole and a nut pie for Thanksgiving dinner. Over at the Desmond's house, Desmond and his brother, Morris, helped Uncle Vernon fix a big pot of vegetable stew and a cheesecake. Everyone ate too much. After dinner, Clayton's grandma and grandpa sat in the living room, holding their tummies and grumbling. Over at the Desmonds, the cousins from across the road stretched out on Uncle Vernon's sofa and took a nap. The following morning, Clayton woke up early. He wanted to be first at Claire's Christmas tree farm at the edge of town. That way, he could have his pick of the biggest trees. Over at Desmond's house, Desmond tumbled out of bed with the same thought. Clayton hurried over to Claire's, but it was hard to go very fast. He was still too full of Thanksgiving dinner. By the time he reached the Christmas tree farm, he was out of breath. He looked around. No one else was there. There's Claire's Christmas tree farm. Moments later, Desmond arrived. He too was full of Thanksgiving dinner. He too had found it hard to hurry. He took a deep breath and stumbled inside. See him coming down. Clayton wobbled down the rows of trees. Here was a nice one, but it was too small. There was another, but it was squat and had a crooked top. Over there was a third, but it was average height and had big gaps between the branches. Struggling down another row, Desmond was having the same problems. Clayton leaned against a tree. It was scrawny and not very tall. "I'll never find the tree I want," he said. "I'd better go home." And not far away, squinting at another tree, Desmond said, "I'll never find the tree I want. I want to go home." They're both sad, aren't they? When Clayton reached his house, it was only the middle of the morning, but he was still full and he was tired. He fell back into bed. When Desmond reached his house, he too went back to bed. Clayton woke up for lunch and spoke to his dad. Dad said, "Go out this afternoon, walk to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm. The biggest trees are there." When Desmond woke up for lunch, Uncle Vernon told him the same thing. That afternoon, Clayton went out again. At that very same time, Desmond did too. Clayton walked to the far edge of the Christmas tree farm. He looked at one big tree after another, but none of them looked like the biggest Christmas tree ever. Down another path, Desmond was having the same bad luck. Desmond starting to lose hope. Clayton peered around a very thick trunk. Desmond peered around the same thick trunk. They bumped heads and fell down. "I bet you're looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever," said Clayton. "I bet you're looking for the biggest Christmas tree ever," said Desmond. "Why don't we find it together?" said Clayton. "No one said we couldn't," said Desmond. Hey, they're thinking together, aren't they? They set out through the rows of trees. They looked and looked until it was almost dark. Just as they were ready to give up, there it was, a Christmas tree as big and so tall it reached the sky. Look at it. See how big it is? "How will we cut it down?" Clayton asked. "It's much too big for the two of us." "Where will we put it?" Desmond added. "It won't fit in your house or mine." Clayton and Desmond smiled. "Our families will help us," they said together. There they go. And that is what happened. Clayton's dad and Uncle Vernon came out with their axes, And with the help of Clayton and Desmond, they dropped down the giant tree. Both families called on friends and relatives, and together they loaded the tree onto 100 red wagons and pulled it to Clayton's front yard. There they decorated it, and with the most wondrous ornaments and colorful lights. And on Christmas Eve, with all of Mouseville celebrating around the biggest Christmas tree ever, lit up the entire hillside. "We did it," said Clayton. "All of us," said Desmond. Yeah, it took all of them to get that big Christmas tree. Well, and they all worked together and they shared it. That was the most beautiful thing. They shared it. Now, on with my story. Glynieta and I got the truck and we went to the tree farm and we looked around. My daddy told me, "Now, Cindy, don't you come back with too big of a tree." I don't know how he knew that, but he did. And friends, when Glynieta and I got out, we looked and looked and looked. We were like, had to find that perfect Christmas tree. We found one. This is it. This is it. We used a little saw and we sawed and got it down. We put it, both of us, put it in the back of the truck. We took it home to Daddy. Daddy helped us get it out of the truck. He said, "Cindy, that tree's too big for the house." Glynieta and I just looked at each other. Well, my daddy, you know what he did? He sawed off some at the bottom. He put it in the tree stand and he took it in the house. And I can still see that tree. The roof going like the ceiling was like this. And that tree, the top of it, it leaned over like this because it was too tall. Glynieta and I just laughed. We loved that tree. We decorated it just perfect, like the biggest Christmas tree. Have you ever had to go look for the perfect Christmas tree? Tell me in your comments about a time that you had to pick the perfect Christmas tree. Maybe the perfect Christmas tree is growing in your yard and you just go outside and decorate it. That makes it really easy for Santa to leave a gift underneath it. How many of you decorate the Christmas tree in your yard? I can't wait to see the comments on Cindy's Corner. And I hope you enjoyed the biggest Christmas tree ever. And I can't wait to see your comments and your challenge to share with me. Hey, make sure you tell me where your Christmas tree is. I might want to come see it. Have a great day on Cindy's Corner and share me with your friends.